Okay. Hi guys, and this is Maddi Cook and the lovely Bennie Caffrey coming on the Takeover Talks. Thank you so much, Simon, for having us on Hairsocials. For anyone who doesn't know me already, like I say, my name is Maddi Cook. I am a hair extension specialist and educator, and you might know me as Boss Your Salon, where I help hair and beauty business owners to stop winging it and start thinking like business folk. I would really like to introduce Bennie, if you want to tell me a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Hi. So I am a nail technician in Brisbane, Australia. I do really weird nail art. I have a really fun time in a private salon that has mustard spots all over it. And I'm notorious for being a bit of a hard ass with my policies.
I love it. You are absolutely known as the hard ass of nails, especially over there. So a little bit of background, if I can just kind of give people a background as to how me and you know each other, our kind of little
Yeah.
journey to this, where we're like little besties. We talk every day. So some of you might know, you might not know that I do a lot of work with pricing. I have a pricing calculator and I do free classes, which I started in lockdown one in the UK. And that is when I first kind of met Bennie. Bennie came to one of my classes in June time, something like that, I think.
So.
Something around there. Yeah, just kind of middle of our summer. And that's kind of where we first met. And a few people will keep in touch with me afterwards just to give me like a bit of an update on how things are going, especially people who've increased their prices following kind of working with me. So I got a message from Bennie in when did you guys go back? It was a bit before us, I think.
Mm, June, I think. No,
Yeah, it must.
it was the week. No, it was in May, but I chose to go back a bit later.
Oh, that was it. Yeah, because we went back, I think, 4th of July, wasn't it? So, yeah, so you got back in touch and it made me really laugh because you sent me a message going, you were like, wow. You were like, it was like Christmas week in terms of money, but it wasn't like Christmas week in terms of like having to work like insane Christmas week hours. Um,
Yeah.
would you mind sharing kind of what happened with your prices? Because I think it's major. Like that you've done two increases, which have just been absolutely huge, if you wouldn't mind.
Mhm. Okay, so I started out in the party district of Brisbane, which is a nightmare. And I think I was charging like $60 for what I now charge $135 for. Um, and it was a nightmare. I let everyone run over me, and I didn't have any idea of what I was like charging. I just was kind of going off of what I was taught at beauty school. And now it like in comparison to that, I get to work 4 days a week. I only work 32 hours a week. I actually have a human life outside of my job now. And I don't hate it anymore, if that makes sense. Like I don't feel resentful when I go to work anymore, which is kind of like where I started of like working until 2 in the morning to here. So it's changed a lot.
Yeah, that's awesome. How were you taught then in when you learned what was the kind of path in your education of like how you go about pricing? Was that something you were even taught or was it just touched on? What was the kind of advice given to you then?
Oh God, it was a nightmare. I think it was like 20 minutes out of my nail course altogether. And we were taught to look at our competitors and the people in our general area and then just like
No.
either undercut or try and be over depending on what your target demo
Yeah, that's it's,
was.
it pains me. I mean, this is like it physically causes me pain that this is such a thing. But yeah, it's interesting that it's like not just a UK thing. Because obviously I do loads of work, predominantly in the UK, but I have worked with people now like all over the world, and it does seem to be really, really universal, which is a kind of combo of base it on your location. So don't you dare charge anymore if you're in a low income area, or you're allowed to scale up a tiny bit if you're in a more affluent area, and then basically just look at what other people are doing. But the problem with that is that if that's how you're taught, and that's how I was taught, and we live on other sides of the world, then I think it's safe to say that that's how most other people were taught. In fact, I know it is because I run a poll on my class, and it's anywhere between. It's always over 50%, but it's normally between about 60 and 95% of people say that that's exactly how they did it. So it is
Mhm.
definitely like the done thing. And I just sort of think if you're doing that, what is the person that you copied off doing? Like, where did they get theirs from? Which is kind of why we're in this mess, isn't it? in terms of pricing?
I have no idea.
Yeah. What's the kind of industry, just so people can get an idea of whether it's comparative? Because I think sometimes when I talk about you, people maybe are inclined to go, well, you know, it's Brisbane, it's Australia, like maybe they charge loads over there. And would you kind of let us know a bit about that?
So the pricing here, gosh, it can go anywhere from like a chain salon, which is what like most girls try and base their prices off. I've found like most people try to go off of that. They start like 20 Australian dollars for a manicure, maybe. Yeah, it's like maybe that. Like all the way to tops $45 for a gel manicure.
Which is like, I'm trying to work out how much that is in UK money. Let me just quickly work that out, $40. Because I'm sure when I worked out to talk about you on my class, that what you charge now on average for a set of nail extensions, for upper gel nail extensions, I work that out is about, to be really exact, like £99.50, like in English money, which is really, really high for like, whenever I put you on my on my class, I say like, where are my nail techs? Because I can feel your brain's about to explode. And all like, wow, like full on head blown emojis. So 40 Australian dollars is £22.34. So we're running it like just over 50%. So yeah, it might be a touch off with what you charge, but if it's definitely in the region of kind of 60, 70, 80 plus, obviously with nail art and stuff like that. So you did this really big increase, didn't you, in when you first went back, and then you've done another one since then. When did you do that? What happened to the second one?
So I got my rent increase at my shop. That was another big thing for me. And when I came back this new year, I decided, you know, since I did my last price increase, I got a new autoclave. Like my costs went up with a bunch of stuff because of COVID importing. Importing to Australia is like really expensive. So like product costs is almost double compared to what it is in the UK, for instance. And I was like, oh dear, it's bad again. I'm like not hitting my targets. So yeah, I decided to just check in every 6 months, like 3 to 6 months, and make sure that I'm staying on top of it.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I think a big question I get asked a lot is, when is it okay to do a price increase? And I'm like, it is okay when it is okay. Like if you have to do one, you have to do one. There's no such rule of like, wait till April, wait till January. And especially for anyone who's in here, because I know this is kind of predominantly hair, if anyone's in here who went back after our first lockdown, say, and either didn't do one at all, like you will realize by now you cannot afford to do that. Like the cost, the same for us, the cost for PPE, like our gloves at one point were like 7 times as expensive as what they used to be. I was getting sent screenshots of invoices from like wholesalers where someone was buying the exact same thing, but it just happened in July that it was like, you know, 5 times more expensive, whatever. Or a lot of people went back and kind of panicked. I don't know if that happened where you are, where people did this like a COVID charge. People were like, I'm just going to do a temporary £1 or £2 or dollars. And obviously they've run into trouble because it's not temporary, is it? We're still here, you know, we're closed again. And, you know, we're not going to not be wearing masks and stuff kind of when we go back. So yeah, I think that's really nice to hear that you are looking at it like as a quarterly thing. Like you've actually planned that into your business, haven't you, that you spend time on it? Yeah. Because everything is going to go up as well.
Yeah, sorry. And in Australia, so we paid BAS tax. We pay 2 taxes if you're self-employed, depending on like how you. Yeah, it's fun. Depending on how you've set things up. So I have to do quarterly tax payments anyway, and I have my tax set up to do it every quarter. So I can just reevaluate. I have my accountant scream at me if I'm doing something wrong. And I just check it that way.
Yeah, that makes sense. I wonder if we kind of are more inclined to do it yearly, because most of us do our taxes yearly, unless you hit the VAT threshold, which is a bit like kind of must be a bit like BAS where you are. That's awesome. I think people should absolutely look at it. Even if you don't have the intention to actually increase it every 3 months, just look at it. Because I think the easiest way to like kick yourself up the bum in terms of knowing if your price is right is actually just doing the work, doing the calculations and just seeing it in front of you. Even if you
Yeah,
kind of
it's
have
like a
the
health
intention
check.
to do it. Yeah, absolutely. Do a health check, because the reason I'm like a big geek and I love numbers is because you just can't argue with them, and you can't, like, every emotion and every feeling will make you not want to increase your prices and charge your worth. But when you see that number and you see how much you lose by not charging that number, and you multiply that by like a month, a year, whatever, that is one of the biggest catalysts to be like, I am not. In fact, you'll go to work, do a few clients, and you'll be so annoyed at yourself every single time you take a bill, because you'll be like, I am absolutely. So I do think it's definitely worth, even if you think, oh, I feel fine and I feel like I've got money, it's still worth looking at, isn't it? Because best case, you're okay and it's fine, but at least you kind of know how you got to be okay, rather than, especially if you've kind of guessed or copied off other people's. Because sometimes people might use the calculator and say, oh, I'm really pleasantly surprised because I'm about right for so many things, but they just didn't know how they got it right. So like next year or next 3 months or whenever they would need to do, like you said, this health check, they couldn't replicate it because they just would stick a few quid on, or, you know, like hope for the best, and we get in problems that way.
Yeah.
What did you find happened as a result, like kind of immediately after you went back and did this increase? And how did you feel actually doing it? Were you quite confident with it, or did it make you feel a bit wobbly?
The amount of times I called my best friend and went, am I doing it wrong? Help me. Like, is this too much? Am I being an insane person right now? Like, I was sitting there, I was freaking out. I was like, oh God, I have to raise things by like $40, some of them.
Yeah.
And I was losing my mind, Maddi, for like a good 3 to 4 days. I put it off until the day I reopened my books.
Oh, really? That was how close you did it. So
Yeah, I'm a
had
monster.
people booked in, and were you like, okay, now the price of today? Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Rather
I
than
only
saying, oh, I'm going
put
to wait
slots in.
until a couple of weeks. So I think you do, yeah, which I want to talk about in a bit, actually, because I think that's such a cool idea that I think might work for us. So yeah, you were wobbly then. So what was the actual client response when you sent that message out or put it on your website or announced it, however you did?
No one cared. No one cared. It has
Well,
not been
literally no
brought
one
up
cares.
even once. One of them went, thank
Oh,
God you
really?
raised
That,
your prices.
yes, I love that.
Paris,
That's amazing.
she was like,
Yeah, yeah, I
why
love
didn't you do this
Paris, my girl.
sooner? We love
I
Paris.
love that. Do you know what? Do you know what's kind of funny is that, like, I have to almost break it to people. Like, I'm really sorry to tell you, but literally no one cares about you and your price increase. Like, no
Yeah, we're
one
just not
cares
that
as much as
special.
you do. Yeah, and I'm the same. I think everyone's the same as you. You lie in bed like 3 or 4 nights before you have to do it, and you're like ill, and you just try and convince yourself. Like, literally, the list of reasons is, for example, everyone's going to leave, everyone's going to hate me, everyone's going to think I'm this horrible person. It's taken advantage in a pandemic. Every single person's lost their job, and no one has any money, and they are loyal to you, and you're being horrible to them, and all of this. I can tell you, like, pretty much, because I've heard of all of them.
Yeah.
And honestly, it is like the most offensive slash underwhelming experience, because you will send that message out and you'll be like lucky if you literally get like 3 messages back saying, when am I booked in
I didn't
again?
even
Or
send a message.
did you not you just put it on the website and stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, my booking
I
website,
know.
I just updated the prices and left it.
Yeah, that's a good shout as well, because it's kind of up to everyone, like how you do it. I try and advise, like, don't make a huge thing about it. Like, it doesn't have to be this rambling, and especially don't be negative, don't apologize, don't be like, unfortunately it's out of our hands and I wish we didn't have to do this, and we've absorbed it and I feel terrible and I'm going to blame all these other things. Like, it doesn't have to be
Oh,
like
I'm not
that at all.
sorry.
No, not sorry. Like, no one else is sorry that they have to like make money and like be able to stay open and stuff. What we did, which worked quite well, was sent a kind of catch up email out in the middle of lockdown, which was just like, how are you? Hope everyone's safe. Obviously a few gifts, which is like my fave. And it just had a few little updates, which was like, this is how it's going to
I
work
love
when we
that.
come back. This is the order. Yeah, I'm always like, how do I make it not feel like I'm like ball busting? I'll just stick some like really like fun things in.
Here's a gift.
Yeah, he's a gift. Calm down, like I'm a nice person. Yeah, it was just like, this is what the process is going to be, blah blah blah. And then I was just like, little sentence. By the way, there's also a price increase from when we come back, etc. etc. Can't wait to see you. And that was it. And one of my clients actually screenshot that email and put it on her stories. And do you know when you get the notification? I was like, oh my god, what she said. And she literally had written this really nice little thing over it saying, like, take note, businesses, like, this is how you treat your clients. And I thought, yes, it was so nice. Yeah, really cool. And that got me thinking, like, we think of that announcement as something really, really negative, like something we really, like, we have to do, but we don't kind of want to do. And it made me realize that actually them receiving it is not always a negative thing. Like, it's actually that there's positives to it, as in, it's being kind of transparent, it's being communicative, it's giving them a heads up, you know, if you do want to kind of email that out, and it just give them time to like put things in place. Like, I charge a lot of money, you know, I'm probably the highest kind of price in my area, so I do like to announce it, not massively, but just to give people a bit of a heads up, like time to budget and move things around if they need to, or get in touch and stuff. So yeah, that's awesome that no one, like, literally no one cares, which is really fun. Like, I know we really care about it, but like genuinely no one else does. So we have to get over that a bit. What happens? Did all your clients leave, Benny, then? Did everyone just walk out and say you're a horrible person?
No, I saw 7 new clients this week.
Amazing. That's awesome.
I think,
yeah, so you kind of, I think when we spoke, you said there was like a couple who dropped off, but they weren't like regulars or whatever.
No, they were
but
people
everyone else
like
has stayed.
I wasn't attached to or interested, truly. Like, I think we all have those clients that are like, you know, they come for their birthday or something. They're not long-term,
like,
consistent, loyal clients. I didn't really feel anything. I feel like that sounds so apathetic and terrible, but I was like, all of the awesome people who have been here since I started when I was like 17 years old doing nails are still here, and they've been here since I charged $20 for what I charge $150 for now.
Yeah, so even if you did, you know, even if by chance you had lost a third of those, you're still making more money, aren't you? Because of the scale 100%. Of actually what you do. Yeah. And then I'd love to talk about my favorite thing of yours is your policies. They're just, and I know that sounds like so sad, like I really don't have a life, but Bennie shared her new I'm like really realizing what a geek I am. So Bennie you shared your new policies because you did a really nice rebrand and logo and stuff. And I opened them and I honestly like was moved. Like, I literally welled up. I was like, oh, I'm so proud. Just kind of talk us through like what, like, the importance of them to you, like what they mean to you, and why you feel it's really important to have them and for other people to have them.
Yeah, look, I ran my business with like, show up before 20 minutes or else I'll take your deposit, maybe, if I have one. And all of that. Like, I didn't have any really strict set rules. And having them now means that I have something to fall back on. You know, when inevitably someone steps on our feet or on our toes, or just pushes the boundaries of what's acceptable, I now have a list of like, here, don't do this. Don't, please, madam, do not do that. And they don't do it. And if they, by some rare occasion, someone acts like an absolute, like, crazy person or something, I have a list and I can be like, you signed a contract when you booked to not do this exact thing you were doing. Therefore, I do not like you.
Therefore, no appointments,
so
and I'll
easy.
be taking.
It's so easy.
Yeah, yeah, it's so good. I think you said the word there, which is like real magic for me, which is boundaries, because I think your policies are an absolute reflection of your boundaries. If you do not have policies, do not have boundaries, and people will absolutely take a lens. Some people, anyway.
Oh, 100%.
I see it a lot where, obviously, I've got quite a big Facebook group, and people will come in every so often and say, you know, I'm having this really bad time. Either it's along the lines of a client's made a complaint for some particular reason, or they haven't come in, they've taken the mic and they've cancelled a bunch of appointments or they've no-showed. What can I do? And literally the first question I always ask is, well, what does your policy say? Because that's what we have to, that's our fallback, isn't it? That's what we've told our clients, the rules, so, you know, what we'll accept, what we'll not accept. And like 9 times out of 10, they'll go, well, I don't have any, but it's not fair. It's not fair to not come in. I'm like, yeah, I get that it's not fair and like a moral thing. Like, it's not cool at all. And that we wouldn't people. But if there isn't anything like, you know, legally, then you can't just say, well, I think you owe me 50% or I believe you owe me 100% because that's in my mind what's right and what's wrong. They're going to be like, well, no, I didn't sign anything. Like, that's, you can't make me do it. And then you're kind of left really sort of wide open. And I think what I really like about your policies is that you've somehow really balanced being like a hard ass with actually being a really, really nice person, which I'm not really sure how you do it, but yeah. Because you've got also like really lovely kind of inclusivity policies, accessibility policies, like your Indigenous people policy and all this, which is so nice and really, to me, says what kind of person you are, where you're like, I will welcome anyone as long as they respect me and respect my space. But if you don't, like, we'll be tied you because you're not getting back in.
My policies, how they kind of work, is that I will be waiting at my door, ready to make you a cup of tea, doing everything that I need to do to make your day awesome, ready to write detailed notes on you, know when your birthday is, know everything about your family, give you Christmas presents, like give your dog a Christmas present. I'll do anything and everything I can for you to make you comfortable. Yeah. And I'll be invested in a sincere way. But like, all I ask is that you read my policies and you treat me with dignity and respect, because I'm not just a nail technician. I'm a human and a person with other things that I like, and I'm just as human. And I think sometimes I think people dehumanize us in the beauty industry.
Oh yeah,
And
without a doubt.
I literally just ask them to treat me with decency and respect and kindness. And I'll give you 100 times that back, you know?
Yeah. And that's like so simple, and it should be the absolute minimum that we kind of treat each other anyway as humans. But yeah, this is the issue, because if you don't have these, then we can't expect, people won't always treat you how you want to be treated. But if you can say, like, if you don't treat me like this, then, you know, you're not going to get my time, because your time is, you're going to get binned. Like, your time is super valuable, and you're absolutely right. You're not just a nail tech. We're not just hairdressers. No one's just a beauty therapist, as much as clients sometimes feel we are like octopus robots who live to serve. No, that's really, really important. Thank you, Bennie. What have you seen as the change in kind of every aspect, or in any aspect that you've had in your life from having these boundaries and from being really, really firm with them?
Oh my God. Before I had these boundaries, I literally was so stressed and burnt out from my job. I had to go get a therapist, and I had to genuinely and sincerely actually go on antidepressants, because I was so overwhelmed by how walked over I felt and how I had no time for myself. And I was just like throwing myself at a wall, essentially, trying to like get somewhere, I guess. Like, I was just trying to get results. And before I had them, like the policies in place, people just treated me like dirt. And I think having them has deterred people who would, you know, take advantage of me, take advantage of my time. And it gave me the ability to say, like, no, this is against like me and my policies and boundaries. But yeah, before, it was literally living hell.
Yeah, so in terms of like mentally and emotionally, that's massive. That's like going from right down there to now what seems to be, you know, doing well. Not
Yeah,
feeling like
I'm
that.
fine. Still see the
Yeah.
therapist so that I can yell if I need it, but
Oh yeah, we've got to go somewhere to yell. That's okay.
yeah.
What about the cost to you in terms of time? I know you've mentioned that, you know, you don't work as much now.
Yeah, so I only work 4 days a week now, and I cap it maximum face to face with clients at 35 hours a week. That's my limit. That's all I can do.
Yeah.
That's where I hit it, like my wall, because I need to go spend time with like my pets and my partner and my mom.
Yeah. That's so nice. I mean, I know obviously with COVID you can't do this now here anyway, but that's I think it's a small thing that we really underestimate the value of, is what that time allows us to do. And sometimes it's just as simple as parents taking the kids to school, or parents putting the kids to bed, or just having dinner with your other half or your partner or whatever. And not like the amount of times that I know you're a big hummus fan too, which we'll come on to, but the amount of times that I've just had to like smash in some hummus at like midnight because I'm like, I literally haven't eaten for like 15 hours, because you just think the clients have to come first. And I think a lot of it does start with the money as well. I definitely think that people might not be able to get, you can to an extent, but not to this point until the money's right, because obviously you can't drop to 32 hours if you don't make enough money to live working 32 hours. So it has to start. I always think pricing should always be first, like as a total foundation. But then once you build your business like that, and people, like, you can build a business that affords you to work 32 hours. You can make your prices so they work for you if you want to work 25 hours or however many hours. Obviously, you might have to have them higher, but that's absolutely fine. That's totally available and really doable. The issue is that people have no idea what they make for most of their services, or they kind of pray that their higher margin services kind of magically drag up the lower ones, and that they just are okay at the end of it, but they just don't know. And I always try and compare us to like employees, and especially minimum wage employees, which a lot of employees are in our industry. And I always say, like, if you were a minimum wage employee and you went to work, or let's say you don't even know what the wage is, if you went to work as like a hairstylist or a nail tech, and your boss said to you, Benny, you're going to work for about 9 months before I'm going to tell you how much money you make, or like a year or whatever. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, I've got to live. But that is, like, no, ma'am, no. That is what we do to ourselves, isn't it? Like, we, self-employed people, so many people that I speak to do not know how much money they make until they do the tax return, which for us is 9 months after the last day you made money and nearly 2 years after the first day you made money. And that is absolutely crazy when you think about it. Like, that is going to work and not knowing what you earn. Like, no one else does that. Yeah, but we do that. A lot of us do that as self-employed people. So that's why I love, again, the numbers, because you can just reverse engineer everything and go, I want to make this at the top level. This is how I want to work in order to make it. And then that means my prices have to be X, Y, and Z. So no matter what you do, you're going to work and you're making the same amount of money. You're gonna make that same income.
Oh, exactly.
So much better, isn't it? Why does everyone not do this? I suppose this is my job, isn't it?
I don't know. I think a big part of it is imposter syndrome, like what you talked about. And then I think another part of it is that we are not perhaps valuing the gravity of the work that we do as beauty professionals. I don't think that we are taking the craftsmanship and the skills required quite as seriously as we should be. I think we do incredible work. I don't know how you cut hair. It is mind-blowing to me that you can do that.
Well, I told you about my nails, didn't I? I still don't even show anyone up close, but I did my own nails, like actual extensions as well. My very good friend she's my nail tech, and she, in painstaking detail, told me every single thing to do and like laid everything out. And the whole way through, I was like, I would not do this for less than easy £100. Like, it was so painstaking.
I don't smile for less than $50 at this point.
I love it, Benny. That's cool. That might be my new, like, I'll just subliminally put that in the salon. It's I think because there's a big trap that loads of us fall into, that because we find something easy, and also we know the costs that is entailed in delivering a service. So, like, you know what your cost per set of nails is, I know what my cost per extensions is, or for colour or whatever. Loads of people say, well, I wouldn't pay that. And I'm like, of course you wouldn't pay that. You can do that. Like, the skill comes easily to you. And actually, you would just trade. That's what I would do. I'd just get someone I know to do my hair, and I'd do their extensions, whatever. It's like saying to a plumber, what would you pay to fix a sink? They'd be like, well, nothing, because I just do it. So that's if that's the way you're thinking about your prices, like, what would I pay? Like, that is not a very good way to do it, because it's not you paying. Your clients aren't you. They're not hair professionals. And I kind of think lockdown one, what was quite funny and helpful was clients really kind of understood what we do and how hard what we do is. I don't know if you found that with, I don't imagine any of your clients probably actually tried to do their nails, but
I was
I saw
selling press-on nails for them, so
pressing nails. It's a good idea.
the amount of messages being like, it's wonky, I can't even glue it on, I don't know how you've painted it.
Like, I can't do the last tiny 3-second job. Yeah, like we had clients who were cutting their partner's hair, their poor children got absolutely butchered, trying to do their own, cutting their own fringes and stuff. So I think, to our favour, it showed people that actually, one, they really miss us when we're not there. So they started to like not take us maybe for granted as much. And they realised how hard our job was. Some of my clients had to remove their extensions, obviously for safety, and I'd had my instructions like signed off with the insurance and stuff. And they were just like, how on earth do you do this like in a day? Like, it's because it's physically really quite painful, and to do it. And it, you know, you sat with your arms up like all day. So I think that was a good thing for us. And I'm just trying to put myself in the client's shoe. So at this point, really, especially if you haven't done an increase, your clients missed you absolutely loads. They can't do what you can do. And a lot of the time, I don't know how to put this, because I don't want to come across as like rude, but a big problem lots of people say is, I'm worried that in lockdown, loads of people have lost their jobs. So there's a massive worry, isn't there, that like, because it's been bad for us, we've lost our work for such a long time this year. And you hear of people, which obviously they've been made redundant and lost jobs and stuff. And that is absolutely awful. I've had 2 or 3 clients who've been out of work. But actually the other clients who were just kind of middle of the road income now have more money than they've literally ever had before. Like, they are buying anything I'm selling at this point. Like, I honestly think people bought stuff just out of sympathy. Like, the last few days before we closed, they were like, can I just take that kit for like curly hair? Well, like, you don't even have curly hair. They're like, I'll just take it anyway. Which I thought was really cute. And
it's crazy.
Yeah, so what I've found, again, numbers wise, is people who did an increase, a really decent increase like you, not only were the people absolutely happy to pay that, but actually they then went on to buy more stuff than ever. Like, I don't know if you retail much, but obviously in hair there's a lot of stuff that we can retail, and yeah, so the average spend per person, yes, you might have lost a handful of people, but each person, not only are they spending more because of the increase, but they're also just buying all the other stuff. Was that the same for you? Yeah.
The amount of cuticle oil I sold. I make my own one with a camera.
Oh, wow.
So yeah. I've still not been able to restock because like they just go straight the second I have them.
Yeah. Why do you think
I've never sold so much hand cream in my life?
Do you think it is to do with that? Do you think there's like an element of the people who've got money have got more money because of, again, we're in lockdowns, it's a bit different because we just can't spend money here. Like, apart from your bills, you're not going out, you're not buying clothes probably and makeup and stuff. But I do also think there is maybe this like, maybe it's sympathy, maybe, I don't know, maybe they just feel bad that we were closed and didn't have income and stuff. I'm not sure what the reason is.
Some of my clients genuinely just sent me money.
Yeah.
Because like the generosity I received, a lot of my clients know I'm immunocompromised and that I have to be careful and that I wouldn't be able to work. And oh my God, they were incredible. It was bizarre. But the thing is, I think they're doing it also because like we have made an impact on their life.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I think it surprises you how much people really care about you, which is so kind. And
100%.
Like, I get messages still just like, are you okay? Like, how is everything? And obviously, I mean, they know that I have this business that I do mentoring and coaching, but I don't think they know that this is now like pretty much my full-time job now. And they're like, is everything okay? Are you okay? Like, do you need anything? Do you need me to pay any deposit or anything? I'm like, no, don't worry about it, but thank you. Like, it's so kind, which has just been really, really nice. And I think, like you say, the people who were not that bothered will disappear anyway, because they'll disappear when you try and enforce policies and boundaries and when you try and increase your prices, which is not a bad thing, is it? Like, I would much rather know who those people are and kind of not work with them if they're not going to respect our skills and stuff, and then just really, really focus on the on the best people, who I call rock star clients, like your absolute best of the best. Can we kind of circle back around to your boundaries and your policies and stuff? And would you kind of explain what happens from like your client journey? So how you kind of enforce things at each point, please?
Okay, so when people book online, which is the only way I take bookings, I have like a few clients with disabilities who I will obviously book in store, like the elderly. I'll book them, like not even a question. But everyone else can go onto my website at any time and just book. If someone tells me they want to book over Instagram, I tell them to get knackered and go to the website in a very polite way. But I am very subtly telling them, like, go to the website, sweetie. So it starts there. They have to pay a deposit straight away. So they pay a 30% deposit.
Yeah.
I do that just because of the amount of fees that it takes out of.
You would have done higher, but obviously it's costing you more to take those through deposits.
It is. And most of the time now I do card capture. So I have a copy of their card instead. So I don't even have to take a deposit. They can agree to just give me their card number instead through my booking app. And then I require them to confirm. They get a text 96 hours before their appointment, and they have to respond before the 72-hour window before their appointment, so 24 hours after that, with a Y to let me know they're still coming. I don't care if you booked it 2 years in advance. You need to give me that text 4 days before. And if they don't, I will get in contact with them. But if they're like repeat offenders of doing that, I'm not going to send them a message. And I will cancel their appointment. Because my feeling is if you can't respond like one letter to a text message to let me know you're still coming, I'm not waking up that early to see you.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And then so at this point you've got your 30%, and then you charge them 100%, if they cancel. I know it's different. I always within the 72 hours, So talk me through that, because loads of people go, well, how do you do it? In fact, I got asked this yesterday on my class, the day before. They were like, well, how do you do it? Because clients won't pay. And I'm like, oh, they will. If you're Bennie, they'll pay. So the Bennie payment process.
So they get 14 days to pay an invoice that I send through Square, which, as you love, gets more and more aggressive. I give them that 14 days, and if they don't pay, they will instantly get a 10% fee on that. And then if they don't pay within another 3 days of that, I send them to Debbie, the debt collector.
Oh, Debbie, I love that. But how many people have you had to send to Debbie?
One.
Yeah, because they all paid, don't they? Every single other person has paid as part of this. So yeah, the other thing that I love about the Square invoice, which I know we use in the UK, a lot of us, and you don't even need to use the card reader to do this, to take deposits, invoices, is because you've got the client's email address from booking. You send it to their email address, and you can write a bit on it for what it's for and so on. And you can set a time scale. So say if I'm taking a deposit before an appointment, I'll just say it's due within 2 or 3 days. Because I just say to them, if you're not confirmed in 3 days, like I can't get you, I'll have to open it to someone else. But obviously you've done it, the time's passed for you, isn't it? But what's really, really cool about it that we love is that you can see when someone's opened it. So if anyone tries to fib and go, oh, I never even got that email, you're like, well, you did, because you read it. And like, I know this, which I think is just another,
I love it.
Like, it's another tool in our belt, isn't it? To be like, it protects us massively. So what has been your kind of response from clients about that? And has that meant that you've lost loads of people because they go, God, Debbie, Bennie's been chasing me for this money, so I'm just never ever going to come back to her?
They've been completely fine. They come back like it's nothing.
Yeah.
It's usually never brought up again. If it is, they are texting me to go, oh, I've paid it. Can I still come to my next appointment?
Yeah, like checking actually you're still okay. Yeah. But that just demonstrates, doesn't it, like, because you've enforced and upheld that boundary and that policy, they then know that, like, they have to ask you, is it still okay? Like, are you still happy for me to come in? Which is really interesting, because I think I know a lot of people who will not take deposits and booking fees, even at the very beginning of, you know, even without chasing for missed appointments, because they think that, and I'm sure loads of people watching this will feel the same, they think, oh, that feels a bit like awful to do, especially to regulars and stuff. And they won't want to come to me after, and it'll actually put people off. So it's really cool to hear you say that not only does that not make a difference, and actually it doesn't, does it? Most of my clients really like paying a deposit or booking fee because they pay less on the day. So it's like less money for them to have saved in the bank. And they like to know their appointments in, especially now when it's like really hard to get in anywhere. But yeah, so not only does the deposit thing not put anyone off, but the fact that you then charge them 100% for a missed or no-showed appointment, that they're okay to then pay that. So they paid you this, you know, whatever, you know, 80 quid or whatever for no nails because they messed about. And then they're happy to come in, you know, when they can get back in with you.
Yeah.
Most
of them have appointments ahead of time, and they're fine. Like, it's literally not a big deal, because the thing is, I've been so transparent, and that I don't think it's a big deal. Life happens, you forget things, or you know, we make exceptions for things that happen, but in people's lives, and we show kindness and compassion when we need to and when we should. But I've just made it such like a not big deal. Like, I'm not offended. Thank you for paying me to eat hummus in my shop alone. Like, I don't care.
Yeah. And my favorite ever thing that I'd love to ask you, and I ask you like every day, is how much money have you made from people whose nails you haven't done?
Are we counting from October to now?
Yeah.
It is just about to hit 8.5 grand.
Honestly, I like never get sick, and I ask you this every time I speak to you, because so that in our, let's say in our money, that's like 4.5, nearly £5,000 in a matter of 4 months from work that you haven't physically done. You've been paid like the 5 grand to sit in the dark and eat hummus, which is what you do, don't you?
Honestly, sometimes if people cancel, like, I love it when it's an early morning appointment that cancels.
Yeah. You don't mind the first or the last, really. That's okay. Because you get your paid.
Even in the middle, I'll do my own nails.
Yeah. Well, yeah, stuff you can be doing, isn't there? And this is so, what I kind of love about how you've created your business is that, you know, and we'll come on to how you book in a second, but you can look in your diary on the first of the month and you will know how much money you will take by the end of that month, because you'll either take it from them coming or you'll take it from them not coming, unless they cancel, you know, further in advance, in which case you fill the spot, which I can see you always do on your stories and stuff. So wouldn't that be so nice for anyone who's watching? Like, imagine if you could on the first of the month go, oh, I'm going to actually have this in the bank by the end of it. Not, well, if I'm lucky and if I don't get all these cancellations and all these no-shows and stuff. That is awesome. I just
like, this is what I make. This is my goal. And then usually we go over it anyway.
Yeah, because you'll have extra things, or, you know, retail and stuff like that. That's just booked appointments, isn't it? Let's talk about then, on that note, that takes us well onto your processes in how you allow people to book as well, because I think this is so different, and I really adore how you do this.
Well, I got the idea from my friend Trigger Fingers, who's in Wollongong in New South Wales, and she is just the coolest, amazing nail artist. And I think she was doing it before COVID, but she got more strict with it after COVID started. But she only books 1 month in advance, and I thought, oh my God, I could have a life if I did that. So I just started doing it. So I will only book, so say right now it's February, tomorrow at 3 p.m. every first Sunday of the month. So that's tomorrow for us here. I will open my books for March. And that is all I will allow you to book. And you best believe I've already booked a 6-day holiday.
I absolutely love this so much. And I think this is the one that people really, really struggle to accept or get their head around. I know we chatted a little bit about this, didn't we, on Clubhouse? And there was a few folks who were just like, this doesn't work, like this isn't right. And I would like you
they were
of
not happy.
yeah, I'll pretend to be them and just be kind of devil's advocate, and I'll kind of ask you the questions that maybe people who are watching this will ask. Okay, so one, it's absolutely drilled into us as hairdressers, as beauty therapists, as nail techs, that one of the most important things is you have to rebook. And letting people out that door without rebooking is like the cardinal sin of every single coach that ever exists. What do you say to that?
I say that I'm surprised that you don't trust your clients to come back.
Yeah, love it. Because you don't lose
yeah.
people. You do not lose people, do you? Because in fact, what happens for you is the absolute opposite. You've created this scarcity. And I always say you're like Glastonbury tickets. So you're like, everyone sat there like at 3 p.m. with the alarm set, trying to definitely get in.
They are.
So you've actually made people more desperate to get in with you rather than knowing, oh, well, I could rebook, I couldn't rebook, I could just book in whenever I want because they're going to need me more than I need them. Whereas you've kind of created something the way around. And you have another kind of system, don't you? So you have like a sort of tiered system.
So I have 2 tiers of my favorite 30 clients who have been like repeat awesome humans, like, you know, the ones that you just genuinely look like so forward to seeing at their appointments. So I have 30 of those, and it's split into 2 tiers. And they get sent 48 hours and 24 hours before their appointments a secret link to go book their appointments before the general public and like other people and like new clients. Like all my repeats that are consistent get sent that, and they all book it days before so that their regular appointments don't get taken.
Yeah, so you were saying to me before that you don't it's never or very rare that someone comes back to you after that Sunday and goes, I can't get the appointment that I want. Because your 2-tier regulars have got in anyway. And it reminds me of like gig tickets, you know, where if you're on a list you'll get like early access or you'll get a pre-sale or something like that. And I just think it's so cool and it probably makes those clients as well feel really rewarded that they're on the list and will public and
they
get
love
that
it.
access to, which is awesome. Let me think, what was the other thing? Yeah, what was asked again? Struggling to think like what the problem was. Do you remember what it was again?
There was a bit of controversy about my opinion on taking non-refundable deposits.
Right, yeah. Kind of say to that.
I say I take it every single time, and I don't know why we're not valuing their 3rd, 8th, and 24th appointment with us as much as we value their money from the first appointment. Or why after our first appointment we inherently just trust these people to show up again. I just don't get it.
It's kind of like, it's like anything, isn't it? Surely it's easier to like across the board just say we do for everyone. Everyone on every appointment does this, follows etc. rather than going, do I like them? Do I trust them? Because what I find is, and I used to do that where I'd take it on the first appointment for some bizarre reason, but then if they would act a little bit kind of naughty and make a little bit, I would awkward by going, right, well, now I'm going to have to take it and behave yourself. So isn't it just so much easier across the board to just say this is what I take booking fees or take deposits for everything?
Yeah, it just makes it a level playing field for everyone. It means I take everyone and treat everyone the same. Like everyone needs to take me seriously all of the time.
Yeah. And that's fair. And like you say, it doesn't have any impact on the relation. Like you have such a really strong kind of bond with your clients and then with you that it doesn't matter. Like by being this kind of hard ass, which I do, you are lovely. By enforcing these boundaries and stuff, people think like any worse of you as a person, and in fact it might even elevate that because they're like, do you know what, I'm really lucky to get here in Benny's, you know, special space and this lovely little room that you've got and work with you, that just becomes a really wonderful time between you and the client.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just think it allows
Think-
me also to have all that awkward stuff out of the way as well.
Yes. Yeah. So going back to this kind of monthly booking thing, talk
Mm-hmm.
to me about the actual pros of it, like why you love this and maybe wouldn't go back to any other way of booking. What does it allow you to do?
I can, before I load up my books, I can ask all of my friends, it is now time for you to apply to see me. Like, put in your bids for my time. Do you have a wedding or baby shower I need to be aware of at some point in time? I can plan to go to the beach whenever I want. I just don't have to be run over by people and agree to the stupidest hours, which is what I used to do. I used to just like, oh, that's fine. 9 o'clock at night to just start a set of nails that'll take us 3.5 hours. Perfect. It means it's just like my boundaries are just so set. And my hours are so set now. And I can't go out of them because I am weak and a people pleaser, and I want them to get the appointment that they want, and I'll be like, oh, I'm fully booked, but oh, you know what, I'll come in on my Sunday. Like, it
Yeah.
takes away the fact that I have to say no to them to their face,
Yeah.
because then I don't do
That's yeah,
stupid things.
yeah. It's just I think what's kind of makes life probably a bit easier is that there's a lot of separation. So it's like it's not you, Benny the human, having to book people in and collect the deposits and chase the money. You've got systems and processes that take care of that. So you can be like, oh, it's the policy, like blame the policy, because that sounds
Yeah.
that's like going, well, no, I actually think you owe me this money. You kind of, and I know you've shown me kind of conversations you've had where you're like, it's our policy, and you'll sign stuff off as your business rather than like as yourself, which is a really good way if people feel a little bit unconfident around actually enforcing them. To put this, it's same as
Yeah,
having
it just
the invoice
takes a
system.
bit of, it just puts that barrier in between you guys.
Yeah, it's just kind of blaming. And I always say this to people, like if anyone ever puts their price up, just to blame me, because I just don't care. And if they want to say, oh God, Maddi made me do this and Maddi made me stop giving friends and family, like I can live with like literally millions of clients hating me if you guys all just make good money, like get like paid fairly. That's all I'm bothered about. Yeah, I don't mind if people paint me as this kind of really nasty person who forces everyone to put the prices up. I don't mind. Awesome. I honestly think this monthly thing could really, really work. I know it would be scary because the first thought process will be, am I letting my clients now go off into the hands of other people? But I just it doesn't work like that, does it? Because it's worked so well for you.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's like I make coming in worth their while. I think,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're doing like a completely shoddy job and you're not giving them like some value back, that I think that they would probably wonder. But you know, I have all of like the things set out during the appointment and all the luxury so that I can completely justify it.
Yeah, you've kind of got everything really balanced well, such as obviously the service you deliver is awesome. The price you charge for it does absolutely reflect that, but also is a really good price for you. But also a thing that I think people need to really understand is that your messaging's brilliant and your marketing's brilliant. So I always say to people, like, you're going to struggle trying to charge really high prices, but your marketing is like dire or really bland, or is like Nail Tech Brisbane. If that was your bio and your caption just said, "Did this lovely set of nails on Sandra today. Thanks, Sandra," and like that's it. People are going to be like, "Why is it so expensive? Like this doesn't make any sense." And I would really urge anyone to go and look at your Instagram. I use it as an actual example of how to do this really well, which is Benny's Nail Bar. And you're very kind, aren't you? And you're happy for people to kind of snoop about and follow you and look at your policies and stuff, which is really lovely.
I'll take everything I've got in my copywriting and take it and use it.
Amazing.
And just fill in your information. Go for it.
I've actually started seeing people. I know that there's people who I've worked with because their bio, I'm like, that's a Benny bio. Like I can see some of the like compassionate kindness. I'm like, oh yeah, that's one of yours. But you're so kind. That's really, really generous of you to do that. Because I know a lot of people are like, don't take anything from me, but it doesn't hurt you, does it? And it just makes the industry like a better place if we all start doing that.
Oh no, I would really rather everyone use it, and then we can all have money and not compete and not
Yeah.
be miserable. I would really love that.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, that's such a good way to look at it. I do really appreciate that. I'm sure everyone will who's following and watching this. Yeah, I would honestly have a look at that, because how you go about captioning your posts, your bios, like insane. Your highlights are insane. Your website's really good. Your booking system's really good, which again is so important, isn't it? To have not only somewhere they can sign and obviously sign to agree to those terms and stuff, but also to explain what they need to book in for. What is this art? What is not this art? Are they getting the right thing? Because you've kind of mitigated the issue of a client booking the wrong thing. And I know in hair people worry about that a lot, like especially even just having a booking system. People say, well, people won't use it properly, or what if they book in for, like, saying hair, you might book in for roots, when actually what you needed, you blonde, which is like a completely different service. Like, it's going to take much longer. So your booking system, like, talk to me a little bit about that, like the importance of getting that right as well.
So I have mine set up so that it coincides very cleanly with my Instagram. So I generally tend to explain how long each aspect of the service took and how much each individual part cost. So I'll break it down. And I'm just super available to my clients, and generally they will tend to ask me the appointment before, or I tell them, you know, if you're not sure, send me your inspo photos before my booking system opens up. But yeah, I post how long it took. I post before and afters. I might post videos of me working. All of those things, and the transparency in it makes it so easy. I give them every bit of information, even down to the costing of some of my products, because like, if you're just super transparent and honest with them and say, like, that's going to take us 90 minutes of art and that's going to be $200 worth of artwork, they just are like, okay, I'll do it, because you're not going to bamboozle them with things. And if you arm them with the power, you don't have to manage them. Like, arm them with knowledge and give them like a lot of insider information. They will want to hear it.
Yeah, and then they'll appreciate it more, because there's nothing worse than either doing all that work and then you thinking, oh God, they don't know how much this is, and I've done all the work now and I'm going to have to drop this bombshell, it's $200, or them, or you telling them and then them thinking that's a bad thing, that they didn't know that. So I just think it's so much better to have this stuff online. And I know it's quite hard because we have so many variations, especially in hairdressing. There's like so many different things a person can get. But I just think that the more transparent you can make it, and like you do, the easier you can make it for someone to not only book in with you, but actually know that they're following that process properly. Just takes it out of your hands. Like, I love what you do with this 1 month thing. Because I think, imagine knowing on the 6th of the month before, like, what your diary is that month, like a month later. So much
And
easier.
also,
And then, like you
I
said,
don't have people no show, because like generally I don't have people cancel and have to reschedule. I don't do a lot of rescheduling, because I don't know how we are expecting our clients to know exactly what's going to be happening in 2 or 3 months for them. Like, the amount of times we are getting messages that say, I have to reschedule because work has changed my roster, or I didn't have my roster and I guessed because I felt put on the spot. You know, I don't get that anymore. They are in full control and have full like autonomy, and they also like have to take the blame then. So it's not on me, and I didn't sit there and being like, you have to book in or else.
Well, yeah, and I know that's a thing that people struggle with, is when do I say it? How do I present it? How do I make it not look like a salesy thing? And I know loads of people really struggle with that. And what I love about your system is that literally you finish the nails, take the payment, then that's it, they're out. There's no, which actually gives you more time to then do your money making services. You're not sat there with their work diary and with your diary trying to kind of tally up this time in like 9 months or God knows when. You're just like, thanks, lovely to see you. Yeah, off you go. And then they know, or you maybe just fill them in with, remember that next time you need to book on the 6th, this is when it'll be, set a reminder. And that's it. So much easier. Honestly, why do we not all do this? It's crazy.
Yeah, and I say just look out for the email. I was like, next month's bookings open up on this date. I'll send you an email. I'll make sure you open it. If you don't open it, I'll send you a message. Because I'm using MailChimp, so I can see if they've opened it or not, and if they've clicked through. And my timely booking system actually syncs up with MailChimp, so I can see if they booked because of that as well. So I have the analytics on that one. Yeah.
I love it.
So
It's my favorite ever.
I don't have to stress, and I don't have to sit there for like 20 minutes while they go, no, great, yeah, let's lock in the 19th. And as they're leaving, they'll be like, oh my God, actually, I can't do the 19th. And then you have to do it all over again. It's agony.
I spend like 10 minutes with someone trying to sort an appointment, and then they'll leave and they'll get home and go, oh, my husband's just told me that I've got something on and we have to do something. I'm like, oh, we have to go back. And I think that's why I love a booking system anyway, because I really don't want to sit and spend my time and their time going, I've got Thursday, can you do Thursday? No. Can you do Wednesday? No, I can't do Wednesday. And this just goes on for ages. But yeah, like people are much, much more likely to know what they've got coming up in the next 5-6 weeks, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I love the idea of how you work, is that the way you prioritize things is, what do I want to do in a month? And then my clients will put there, and like looking over the summer and thinking, do you know what, I could book a holiday in 6, 7, 8 weeks, or a trip or something. And that's okay. I don't have to look at, do I have to move someone? Do I have to cancel? Because I know we hate, like I hate moving people, but then I'll struggle looking at my diary to find even a weekend or a week. I'll never find a week where I've not got one single person in. So I definitely think I'm very tempted to copy you when I go back. So I'll fill you in. I just think it'll be so much easier, really, and just do the system. My system's good, but I'm going to try and Benify it and get it like absolutely amazing, perfect. We'll just kind of wrap up. I just want to ask, kind of last of all, what advice would you give anyone who's kind of where you were, so working all of the hours, not feeling like they're making great money, not feeling like they're getting any kind of work-life balance? What would be advice for them to do next to get towards where you are?
Yeah, I think I said in a few of the other lives that we've done is write down every single way, at least 5 ways that not living and like working your business in this way for you is actually impacting you. So think about, like, you know, do you get to kiss your kids goodnight and say goodnight, tuck them in? Like, by not asserting those things and really taking into consideration the fact that you started a business because you wanted to work for yourself. I think, like, go sit there and think about those consequences and have to carry that sheet of paper around, like physically write it down, carry it around, stick it on the fridge everywhere you go and read it constantly. And like, are you really comfortable with that? Because I did that and I was like, oh my God, I'm so uncomfortable. I feel so small and so dehumanized. It's like, are we really willing to continue to do this to ourselves? Are we really willing to continue to have short careers because we've burnt ourselves to nothing? So just sit on those things and think about, instead of what's the worst that could happen. 1, people would say no, that's about it. And then someone else would come anyway. But like, what's the best that could happen? Instead,
that's such a nice way to frame it. Like, what could actually go really well? What could this afford me to do? Not just financially, like the financial stuff is really cool and nice, and I think we deserve it, but it's beyond that, isn't it? It's just the simple things, and like you say, not feeling that you work for your business rather than your business works for you. That's why we go into business,
like,
isn't it?
What about sleeping a 9-hour night?
Oh, the dream.
A thing I can now actually do.
That's it. It's just the little things, isn't it? And like you say, the longevity in it, because like if you keep doing this, and especially for everyone who does, obviously this is mainly a hair group, you cannot work like this for a long period of time. Like, I'm literally 31. I've done this for 10, 11 years. And I went back after lockdown. I was like, I cannot, like, I will die if I keep doing this. Like, my body was just done in. So you just can't. And I just much rather think I'd rather scale it back and work less with the clients I absolutely love, and me really be in charge of that and actually be able to give them more of my life, like a longer time, rather than going, oh, I've got to retire at 35 because my shoulder's really bad, or I've got carpal tunnel, whatever. That's amazing. Thank you so much. Where can people come and stalk you, Bennie?
So my name is spelled down the bottom because it's a bit of a weird spelling. So it's BENNIE. So you can find me at Benny's Nail Bar on Instagram, and I love to chat. I really like it when people tell me like their problems. So come over and I'll tell you how to tell someone to get knackered. And you can steal all of my policies and all of my wording, whatever you like, on bennysnailbar.com.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. You guys can find me at BossYourSalon. That is on Instagram and Facebook. Again, I love to hear your problems and I will help you to tell people. Although Benny will do a really,
really like a good gripe.
We like a gripe together, don't we? We're like agony ants. That's the vibe.
Yeah.
If you were stuck with pricing and at the kind of beginning of that journey, or you want to understand that, if you want to know you're doing it properly, I run free pricing classes, which you can find in my bio. You'll find it all over my Facebook. And I also have a pricing calculator. But come to the free pricing class first, because there's a lot of mind-blowing, mindset-changing, very motivational kick up the bum. And that's usually a really, really good place for people to start. And then who knows, maybe I can be interviewing you in 9 months' time like Benny and saying, you know, how did you get to be an absolute badass? Fabulous. Thank you so much, Benny. Thank you to everyone who watches, and thank you, Simon and the Hairsocials gang.